Let's be honest, we've all done it. We've been locked in, losing fat, making all the progress that we've wanted to make. And then it comes to the holidays. And we enjoy ourselves, as we should. But then we check our weight afterwards, and all that progress that we've made, gone. Just like that. That's why I'm going to show you exactly how to navigate the holidays so you actually keep all the progress you've made and you don't self-sabotage. So the first thing we need to define is the actual goal over the holidays. Now, you're not trying to hit a new low on Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter. What you're actually trying to do is just not get fat. Now, what do I mean by this? You're just trying to stay in roughly the same shape you actually entered the holidays in. Because most men actually see the holiday period as an excuse to just ruin all the progress they've made. And we're not going to do that. Most men put on 5 to 8 kg because they completely detach from the structure that they've actually built. And they say they'll fix it in the new year or something like that. Because the truth is, you don't actually need any crazy restrictions on these holidays. You don't even need the perfect month coming up to it. But one thing you do need is an actual plan with true structure. Because you can eat all of this, but it must be earned. It's not going to be earned by these fake disciplines. And these are all the things that look impressive, but just collapse under real life pressure. Stuff like tracking on the day, earning food with cardio, zero sugar, I'll fix it in January. Let's go through each of them in detail. Tracking on the day. Why is this a fake discipline? Because one, it feels good and it's a false sense of control. Because the meals are homemade, you don't even know what's going into them. You don't know the exact calories. You're just pretending and you're being performative. You're not going to be accurate on this day. The portions are unknown. Stuff like alcohol and snacks creep in. How are you going to calculate that? And one miss normally leads to a full-blown binge. So it's just a waste of time. And when it comes to earning food with cardio, this is weird because this makes you think that food must be punished, and then you confuse suffering with actual progress, which makes no sense because cardio doesn't even offset uncontrolled eating. You'll never be able to do enough cardio to offset that. And the funny thing is, cardio makes you hungrier, so you're just gonna binge anyway. And then you go into that cycle of binge, punish, binge, punish. Doesn't make any sense, doesn't work. Now, the zero sugar one is nonsense because sugar's easy to make the enemy, and it feels clean and it's simple to explain to people at the dinner table. But the funny thing is, sugar isn't even your problem. The calories will always be the problem. So you end up thinking you're offsetting the overeating, but you're just not. Then I'll fix it in January, or I'll fix it in whatever month is after the holidays. This is just nonsense. And if you're one of these people, just come off the video. This just delays accountability and it feels comforting because you're actually planning to fix it. But the problem with this is that you're relying on your future self to fix stuff that current you is doing. And that's an inverse relationship because your future self should be actually thanking the current you for the stuff you're doing, not hating you for it. So the real discipline is actually protecting the few things that still work and provide results even when things get messy. So you're going to do these things 5 to 7 days leading up to that day. And these are absolute non-negotiables. If you slip up on one of them, it could ruin everything. So pay attention. Take notes, let's get into it. The first one is steps. So maybe you're traveling back home, so doing structured cardio at the gym is just not possible. And the problem with this is that it might demotivate you from actually doing everything else that matters, which causes the full collapse. And not only that, structured cardio only burns 300 to 500 calories anyway. But non-exercise activity thermogenesis, so fidgeting, standing up, steps, can double that. So when total steps drops during the holidays, your total energy output actually collapses because NEAT accounts for at least 15% of your total daily energy expenditure. And so if you don't have steps and you're eating more, total fat gain accelerates. So steps are the background burn that keeps that balance, and they're maintainable. Because number one, you can do it literally everywhere. Just go outside, have a walk. You don't even need a watch like I have in these pictures because you have a phone that automatically tracks it anyway. And I even bought a walking treadmill for my family house so I can do it there when I'm not at my spot. You don't have to do that, but it's just an example. And two, you're less hungry because it's less intensive. As I said, with structured cardio, you're going to be ravenous and hungry after you do that, especially if you do an intense, hard cardio session. And three, you don't have to recover from doing something as low impact as doing steps. So we're going to do at least 8,000 steps, but aim for 12,000. Now, over to the next one. You need to still be training. And what most people do is they just stop training for the whole period. Now, why shouldn't you do this? One, because muscle protein synthesis drops and energy expenditure drops, which makes, again, fat gain much easier. And I don't care if you don't have a gym to go to, which is probably BS because there's always an accessible gym around where you live, where your family lives, where you're staying. So that's not an excuse. But in the case that you don't actually have access, you can just do a home workout. You don't even need dumbbells. Now, we're not really trying to gain muscle, lose fat, or even make the most progress in the world. We're just trying to not lose our progress. Even reduced training, home workouts, stuff like that, actually signals the body to keep the muscle we already have. It's all about providing that stimulus. So make sure you're still locked in on your training throughout this period leading up to the day. Try and train 3-4 times in the week. Now, the next one, as we know, calories affect our weight, so the scale. And it's a lot easier to gain weight than it is to lose it. We've all been through it. You can diet for 6 months and a full month of bad eating can erase all of that progress. That's why, leading up to it, we're gonna use calorie cycle. So if you're usually on 2,500 calories, that's my deficit. And we're gonna drop that to 2,200, or honestly even, because it's just a week, we can drop that to 2,000. So we're saving 500 calories each day. Then by the time we hit that day, we would have saved at least 2,500 calories. And we'll also need to pay attention to our micronutrients because, as I've already explained, there are things called hunger hormones, and your micronutrients help with this. So micronutrients like zinc, iron, magnesium, B vitamins all help with leptin and ghrelin and insulin. Now, this isn't a way to just starve yourself before the big event. It's just there to manage those calories so you don't feel guilty on the day. So lock in those calories and do not shift. The next thing we need to lock in on is our sleep, especially if we're now lowering our calories for the time being. Because when sleep is not good, hunger hormones increase and satiety hormones decrease. Essentially, you'll eat more and you'll still feel less satisfied, which is just the equation of a disaster. So we need to make sure we're getting elite sleep. The two things I always make sure I pack to get 90+ sleep scores. One is nighttime blue blockers. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail. Let me know if I should do a separate video on how to get the best sleep possible. But your retina and your skin have receptors that detect light. So when your body senses these lights, it tells your body to either turn on or turn off certain processes in your body. So blue light blockers actually make sure that your body doesn't respond incorrectly. So put these on 3 to 4 hours before bed. Now, mouth taping is something I've been doing for a while, and it's helped massively when it comes to sleep. It promotes nasal breathing, helps improve oxygen efficiency, and reduces the chances of getting sick because your mouth isn't open. You're less thirsty, you don't snore, and this isn't proven, but I found it has made me get way higher quality sleep. I could sleep with mouth tape on and sleep for 6 hours and feel better than I did sleeping 7 hours without mouth tape. Maybe it's just me, so we're gonna aim for at least 8 hours of sleep. Over to the water and alcohol ratio. This is gonna make a lot of people mad, but guess what? I don't care. I'm not even here to make sure you're happy. I'm here to make sure you keep the progress. But until the day you're banned, because this goes against everything productive that we're trying to do. It increases hunger, it's high calories, sleep quality is ruined, lower training quality, lower productivity, inflames and bloats you, increased water retention, messes with your digestion. Listen, I'm not gonna go into everything and how bad alcohol is. Just know you're banned, no questions asked, don't care. And we finally made it onto the day itself. But before we go through that, let me just add a caveat. Unless you're prepping for a show or something, then this doesn't apply to you. But if you're one of those people who's gonna try and eat no carb or try and restrict themselves from having the things that they've always wanted on these days, when you've had 364 days to restrict yourselves, then you're just a performative weirdo. And I'm not the person for you, and this isn't the video for you. The whole point of getting in shape is so that you actually are able to be confident and lean all year round and make sure you actually enjoy the things that you've always wanted to enjoy. We're not restricting ourselves every single day of our lives. It doesn't make any sense. So on the day itself, we are not going to track our calories, because everything we've just done leading up to it has actually given us this flexibility. So we'll start as normal, high protein, maybe a high fat breakfast as well, because that's good for micronutrients. And of course, protein being the most satiating macronutrient, it's gonna keep you the most full. So What most people do is they'll try to save all of their calories by fasting all day, and then they arrive to dinner and just binge on everything, even the stuff that they don't like. They'll just binge and ruin all their progress. What we're going to do instead is have a high protein breakfast and maybe a light lunch. And then after that breakfast, or maybe even before, maybe as soon as you wake up, just go on a light walk. Just a nice walk. It's good for after breakfast because it's good for your digestion. And at this point, it should be a usual habit, which means it's good for the fat loss. Now, at dinner, again, no real restrictions. But what I would recommend is to build your plate around protein. I don't mean having like protein shakes and stuff like that and doing a double scoop before you eat your dinner. There's no point. What you're going to do is build your plate around protein. Remember, we're not tracking. But I'm just saying, if you prioritize the meats first and then add whatever you want after that, it's going to make it a lot better. Because protein requires the most amount of energy to digest anyway. So having more of it is good for you. And lastly, actually enjoy. So like I said, don't be that guy. If you love a dessert and you followed everything throughout this video, you've earned it. Just eat. But maybe you've overdone it. Guess what? You still don't have to worry. It's important to remember you can't get fat in one day. We've done our steps, we've calorie cycled, and to gain actual 1 kilo of pure fat, you'd have to eat 7,000 to 8,000 calories over our maintenance. Now, on the day we might go over like 1,500 to 3,000, but guess what? We've already accounted for everything. So don't feel guilty because most of the weight is water, glycogen, salt, and just the food volume. And if you've already been in a deficit, refeeds are gonna be an actual benefit because it refills your glycogen, which is beneficial for lifting, so you actually train better. And it's good for a psychological reset because you don't want to feel like this whole process to getting your dream physique is prison. Enjoying a day with family, then getting back on track builds that adherence, especially more than that weirdo who's sitting in the corner eating his chicken and broccoli. Now, we can move on to the days after because this is where a lot of people panic. They'll do some punishment cardio. They'll say, oh, I've eaten so much, I'm going to do a 1,200 calorie diet. I'm going to fast for the whole day. All of these are nonsense. So the first thing we're going to do is just lock straight back in. Just go back to normal, lock back in. This is going to be kind of easy because your body's going to be filled with food anyway. You're not even going to be that hungry. And don't do it on Monday. Don't do it in the new year. Just do it the day after. It's going to be much, much easier. But a lot of us are going to be in our family homes, stuff like that, and you probably still can't control your calories. So just focus on your protein and get enough steps. Do slightly cleaner food choices, less liquid calories, less junk, but just don't say you'll do 1,200 calories to offset yesterday. That is nonsensical. Then, like I said, you don't need to burn off yesterday. Punishment workouts just create the opportunity for a binge because you're going to be more hungry after it anyway. So just return to your usual structure. And lastly, expect the scale to be 1 to 3 kilograms up. Remember, most of that is going to be water and food. It will drop over the next 3 to 5 days of normal eating and steps and back into your routine. The right picture is me the day after I landed after spending a week in America, and 7 days afterwards, I was 7 kg down. You are going to go straight back to the weight that you used to be as long as you keep with the structure. Now for the recap. The goal, remember, not get fat. You don't need to achieve your dream physique in this period. Before the day, lock in these things. Steps, training, calories, sleep, and 0 alcohol. I mean it, 0 alcohol. And then on the day, a short walk in the morning and or after meals. Build the meals around protein and actually enjoy yourself. Because there are reasons to not worry. Because you can't get fat in a day and refeeds are actually good. Then after the day, don't punish yourself. Go straight back to normal. Expect the scale to be up and just lock in for the next 3 to 5 days. It's that easy. And there we have it. I hope you took notes. If this was valuable, drop a like and comment what you'd like to see next. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Peace.